Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go on a Wednesday. Cofield and Company. Willie Ramirez is here. James is running the show. Football! All right. August 6th, right around the corner. Hall of Fame game. Right at 30 days till UNLV football opener against Memphis, and camps are open. William, how are you? Football is here. We still got WNBA to get to today. The A's. Lots of college football with Big Ten Media Days going down. What's going on, buddy?
Lots and lots and lots of action. Lots, like you said, lots of things going on. What's crazy is I never go out to St. Rose Parkway. I was out there today because I had an appointment, and none of it had to do with the Raiders or the Aces, and yet it was opening day of training camp at the Raiders. The Aces, I ended up going to their practice over at Mandalay. They have a big game tomorrow before they hit the road for 5 games. And, another day in here, another day of paradise. Why? Because we have plenty to talk about.
Always have plenty to talk about,
up and down the sports spectrum.
But now we got football.
Football's king. We already know that, but the great thing is that we've carried right into here the final days of July. Hall of Fame games around the corner, and yet there's so much to cover in every aspect of sports. I mean, you think about the topics that we've covered here just in the past month. I mean, how much time did we spend on the World Cup at times? So
that was a bonus.
It was great.
Big bonus.
Great.
And obviously the business of Caitlin Clark, and then governmental interference in sports, which we'll get to a little more of that with more of these college football ideas coming from the feds. But today, the practice I was at, and then we'll get to the Raiders camp. We got a lot of audio from Kirk Cousins later in the hour, Max Crosby, Dan Mullen. We got audio from him at 3:30 and 5:30. I think one of my favorite things when I first get out to camp, especially with the college kids, is seeing the work they put in the offseason. Because really, your entire career, you never stop working. You're not an adult yet, so your body's maturing. And when you come in as a freshman, it's really rare as a freshman to have everything you need physically, right? And there's almost no way you're going to. So just seeing some of the guys today who are holdovers from last year, and especially guys at D-back and wide receiver who oftentimes, wide receiver, you can have guys who are 6'1", 6'2", 6'4", and sometimes, hey, coming out of high school, you're 180, 185 pounds, You are wispy. 2 guys I noticed right away, and I'll have to ask him. I didn't get to talk to Tayshaun Lyons today, but he's one of the receivers that Dan Mullen has really high hopes for. And if you noticed on the All-Mountain West Conference preseason teams, Tayshaun Lyons, who didn't get a ton of action last year, got more at the end of the season. He was nominated for 2nd and 3rd team All-Mountain West, and he really hasn't played a whole lot. He has gotten visibly bigger. I think he's gotten a little taller. And then a guy that I really like out of Laurel, Mississippi. Oh boy, this is a culture change now in year 2 here in Vegas. Quandarius Keys. And I saw him this morning at practice, and I was like, bro, you muscled up a little bit here. And he's like, yep. He's like, I put on 12 pounds of muscle, so I'm pushing 190 now, and he's about 6'1 and a half, 6'2". So he's definitely in the running for one of the starting cornerback jobs, and he got a lot of playing time last year. But cornerback is going to be one of those positions. Safety is going to be one of those positions for UNLV, which is going to be something to concentrate on because last year they had so much trouble with the chunk plays. I'll tell you on the O-line, these are some of my notes today. On the O-line, still not settled at really any of the positions except for center where Austin Boyd has moved in from right tackle. But they've now got a really good collection of guards, and they're all biggins. Let's see. I think the smallest guy is probably Joe Metzger. In the 4-man, let's say, rotation, Metzger is in from Holy Cross, and he's 6'5", 305, and he's the smallest one. So Amari Tasse is in line to potentially start. He's 6'3" and about 325. Colton Thomason's a big kid from Baylor and A&M, Texas A&M. He's 6'8" and pushing 340. And then Griffin Scroggs is in from Georgia and App State, and he's 6'4", 335. So, and there's some injuries. They're still mending.
So a lot of beef.
It's a much bigger team than it's been, and that doesn't necessarily mean all these guys can play. But what it means is, I think in the past they legitimately had, say, 7 or 8 guys they felt confident in on the O-line, and there were maybe a couple of battles when camp started. And now I think they've got upwards of 9 and 10 guys, and then they've got a whole freshman crew that's gigantic that they're probably going to stick together on the 3 unit. Raider notes today with the vets in for day 2. I guess this technically was the first practice. A lot of people watching Fernando Mendoza. Mm-hmm. Ran with the second team. Not a shocker. I don't think he's going to win the job. I think Kirk Cousins has the job. And some of the comments just talking about him looking precise with his accuracy and command of the offense. I noticed the OC, Janoko, made comments that of all the guys who've made strides on the offense in terms of learning the offense, Mendoza leads the way. And I'll give you another note, and this was a video note, and I want you to watch this during the break because I don't think you had a chance to watch it yet. But our buddy Jesse Merrick, who will be back on with us on Mondays from Silver and Black Sports Network, he did a video of the guys just running drills back and forth, line drills. And Kirk Cousins, he's old. He's old. He was not exactly, 1, flexible, or 2, a speed demon. And And that video, which, like I said, all it was guys going back and forth, touching the line, going back. That, as of like 20 minutes ago, had 60,000 views. And I didn't even look at the comments because I know what the comments were going to be. Like, oh, man, Kirk. So, but you know what you're getting with Kirk Cousins.
He'll be fine.
Oh, I think he'll be fine. No, but you know the way social media works, and you know when a guy looks old, people are instantly going to be like, he's going to get broken in half. And they are going to have to protect him because he's not rolling out, and he ain't scrambling. This is what they signed up for, a veteran quarterback who's a pocket presence, who can get the ball all over the field, but he's not going to be fleet of foot.
And the problem with situations like that, when you get up there and you're not as agile and quick on your feet, is where they're coming in, getting blocked, they're coming low, is those hits from the knee down. Of course, we know that it's illegal. You can't go in for the knee, but that doesn't mean that you get blocked into. And if you're not agile enough or your proprioception is off to where you can't, balance your way out of it or withstand, I don't even want to say it and put it into the universe, but that's something bad waiting to happen. So he has from now until, the week of September 10th to maybe work on those things just to become a little agile. It doesn't mean that you're going to become all of a sudden lightning quick, but you can get into game shape a little bit better, and he's going to have to do that.
Other news out today, more of what Brandy Flores told us last week, and that is that infusion of youth in the defensive backfield. A lot of rotation early in camp. Now, here's the thing in camp, and this goes both ways. It goes for both of the football teams here, UNLV and the Raiders. When you read reports of who's running with the 1s and 2s, or you hear about, I'll mention who's running with the 1s and 2s, nothing is set in stone because every day of practice is a little bit different. And some days, there are days where, hey, guys are going to get certain looks. Like I'll tell you in the 5 o'clock hour about some UNLV freshmen who are getting looks today. And I think one is 100% legit going to get some playing time if he stays healthy and he has a good camp. But there are others, I think there's times when you're trying to get an infusion of energy. And be careful, rodding up over what you read or see about 1s and 2s. Because rotations are truly never set. And on both squads, especially the Raiders, there's a lot of competition in that defensive backfield for who's going to play. Not a whole lot is set, especially when you bring in that many rookies and you have that many second-year guys.
Do you think that they haven't? Well, Kubiak said that he likes the competition.
Of course.
But I think that he's got to have in mind what he wants. Just like he said with Cousins, there's a number one, and that's the best person right now. So as of now, he's got to have his mind set, competition or not, no matter how many people are in camp. I think they have a pretty good idea what they're doing with their skill position players.
Maybe at the beginning of the season, but I think it's going to be a fluid thing throughout the year. Like Brock Bowers is obviously playing tight end.
Yeah.
Is there a definite 1, 2, and 3 at receiver? They might have some guys in mind, but I also think there's a lot of room for changes throughout the year. On the way back, let's go out to L.A. We'll find out what's going on with Rams camp, a little more about the Raiders, as Arash Markazi will check in from the Sporting Tribune. right, rolling on here to Wednesday. We're going to get out to L.A. in a little bit, talk some Rams, talk some Lakers, talk some Dodgers, get our L.A. report like we do every Wednesday from Arash Markazi. Willie's here. It's Cofield. Let's continue on coverage of the Raiders camp, and then we're about 15 minutes away from more coverage, some good conversation, some good quotes from Dan Mullen. So football is here. Camps are open. Let's go. We're ready to go. I've been waiting for this for a while. I said last month I like doing all sorts of sports on Sports Talk, and I like talking about everything else going on around sports, but nothing compares to freaking football. So Kirk Cousins spoke today, and we were just talking about Kirk looking a little less than nimble on some basic running drills. In the end, who cares? Kirk Cousins talked about the first practice, and that it felt good.
Yeah, I can take any questions. Yeah, good to get out here today, back with the guys, playing football. We had our summer break, and now it's time to get to work. Good first practice. Guys had great energy, good spirit. We're ready to go. I was in the locker room at practice starts at 7:30. It was probably like 7:10, and I'm the only guy in the locker room with two other people, and I'm like, do I need to be somewhere? But it's just because everybody's so ready to go, ready to work, and that's the way you want it. So everybody's out in the field, ready to go.
And that's what you like to hear. I mean, he's ready to go. I mean, and that's kind of been the mantra of Max Crosby, right? Is that he how early he shows up, first guy there, last person to leave. So you sort of want to set that tone. You want to have that mentality, and you want that to bleed over when you are, in a sense, a mentor. I know that they're not trying to look at it like that, and he's just out there being the guy right now. But the fact of the matter is he is mentoring, no matter how much you want to slice it, Mendoza. So bright and early it has to be in Las Vegas. I know that much because of the heat. So that's another thing they'll have to get adapted to. Who knows? Maybe that's contributing a little bit to the sluggishness.
Q Myers was asking Kirk Cousins about retention and learning the offense.
What did you feel like the retention level was? Clint mentioned that you don't want to throw away what you've done in OTAs and mandatory minicamp when you get here.
Yeah, I think it's still early. It's the first day, and I think the coaches, didn't try to overload us too much. So that retention level's got to continue in the days ahead. But good first start. Guys, handled snap counts and formations and motions and getting lined up and handling their assignment pretty well.
We don't have to beat the dead horse about how long Kirk is going to be at quarterback. What is a wild guess at it? What do you think? As long as he's upright. Is it all about winning? And then and at a certain point, no matter how much they're winning, is that the cutoff? 10 games, no matter if they're 7-3 or 6-4 through 10 games, you make the switch?
You make the switch when you feel that Mendoza is ready, because that's what the storyline is. Now, that being said, I do think there's something to be said about this. Give me a number. Shoot a number 1 through 10 for me, Steve. 5 through 10. Sorry, 5 through 10. Shoot me
7.
7. Raiders are 6-1, and Cousins is playing his tail off.
And no shot.
You don't make the switch,
right? In
any way, shape, or form. You don't disrupt. You don't fix what ain't broke. So I think there's a lot weighing into it. Now, if it's a mediocre season, if it's something where they still have a shot, and he's hit or miss, he's mediocre, but he's getting the job done. But Mendoza looks great. Let's give him a shot. You give him a shot because that's why you drafted him. But if the Raiders are cooking and Cousins is coming out, with a remarkable season, leave it as is.
Yeah, first 6 games, Dolphins home, at Chargers, at Saints, home Chiefs, at Patriots, home Bills. Not easy.
No.
so if they get through that 3-3, that'd be pretty freaking impressive. Games after that, then they go home Rams, at Jets, at Niners, home Seahawks. Holy crap. That's a tough schedule. And then it does get easier, which might work out nicely. Listen, keep Kirk upright. Let Mendoza learn. Maybe he's not even the 2. Maybe he's the number 3 most weeks, and eventually you move him to the 2, 6 or 7 weeks in. But Kirk takes the lumps. They figure out positions. The wide receivers emerge. Hopefully they're all healthy. And then the end of the season does get more manageable. At Broncos, at Browns, home Chargers, home Broncos, home Titans, at Cardinals, and then at Chiefs, which may mean nothing at that point in the season for the Chiefs.
I'm sorry. I was just catching up with the video you were talking about, watching these guys do suicides. And you know what I find interesting? If this was a Pop Warner or college.
Didn't need to read that schedule.
Pop Warner. Yeah, I heard the schedule. Pop Warner High School, college. James, we can attest to this. They're supposed to be touching the line. A lot of these guys aren't even touching the line.
So the other guys are going fast, but Kirk is really doing it by the rules.
No, he's not touching the line either.
Okay.
There's a lot of them.
I thought that was the excuse for why he looked, looked very slow.
No,
he's really bending down.
He's moving. He doesn't even look like he's trying to go full speed, to be quite honest with you. It looks like he's just going through the motions, which is even more wild. He's just getting it done, but he does look older, for sure.
Here's Kirk talking about the new system and honing his craft.
Well, I think for me, the new is really the external in the sense of new teammates, a somewhat new system. I'm getting moved into a house. Like, there's just a lot of new as far as learning your way around this facility, this culture, how things need to be done here. I think for me, you kind of over time learn what works for you. You're always trying to fine-tune your game. You're always trying to make better decisions with the football, manage the game better. But at the same time, you don't want to reinvent the wheel too much either, and trust, what got you here.
Was that a metaphor, or did he slip an excuse in there? Well, I'm trying to move into a new house. Did he mean like moving into a new house?
I think an actual house.
He's moving into a new house.
Yeah.
Okay, you could have done that. You could have got that down. I mean, you just kind of slipped that in. Well, it's a lot. I'm moving into a new house. I'm getting settled. Should have already been done that, Kirk.
He had a lot to get done in Michigan. If you read the Adam Hill feature from last month, He's got a lot of local interest and camps he runs, and I'm sure his wife's helping out with the local move.
You make a lot of money. I don't make.
Well, I don't think he's saying like on an off day coming up, he's driving the freaking 18-wheeler from.
No, but they know when they're coming.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve, I make a fraction of a decimal point. The last move I made, I didn't lift a finger. I got it done.
So Cofield and company, someone needs to be at the next Kirk Cousins availability and go, I got to follow up on that move thing.
Yes.
Why are you not here already?
Yes.
I wouldn't use that tone.
Well, it might be better than chicken fingers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, moving. Oh, yeah. So Kirk Cousins available today, speaking to the media, day one of practice, day two with the vets in, and he followed up talking about just in general, players open to learn. Keep in mind, they got to learn. Everyone's got to learn because this is a whole new staff that's in here. So everyone is with the learning curve, even with the off-season camps.
It's still so early, but I feel great about our locker room. Winning and always helps that. But I really like our group, like the guys, their work ethic, their attitude, their preparation. And I think as a veteran, you just enjoy that opportunity to maybe try to help as you can. I don't want to act like I'm supposed to have all the answers, but to just be able to be a help, encouragement, support, give feedback whenever I can see something that I like or don't like, to say, hey, here's what I think, and help guys if it helps raise their game too.
I do love training camp conversation because it's all anew, especially with a new coaching staff in. But even with new players, everything is rosy. Can you imagine if Kirk Cousins was like, it's a couple days in, these guys don't want to learn. I'm kind of fed up. Like, they have no interest. They're not paying attention. Now, you won't get that until things go wrong during the season. I'm not saying that's happening, but you would love
You know who you sound like.
Every once in a while. Who, Max Crosby talking to George Kittle?
No. Diana Taurasi speaking to Skylar Diggins years ago. That was the big fight that erupted on the sidelines during the game here in Las Vegas when they both played for Phoenix. And she went off. That was highly publicized. It was, a lot of people don't know. It was because Skylar Diggins doesn't put in the same amount of time to learn the playbook, to watch. Doesn't, according to the insiders there in the locker room. But anyway, that's what I thought of when you said that.
Reminder, our Lotus Summer of Fun, celebrating America 250, is here. 8 trips in 8 weeks. We're giving away another trip this week to Grand Canyon and Sedona. The giveaway is brought to you by Terribles and Bay Law Injury Attorneys in ESPN Las Vegas. Every day, we give you a keyword of the day. Today's keyword is blue, B-L-U-E, red, white, and blue. Blue, 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 27. Blue, sorry, 702-364-1100. I love doing audibles on the air. I don't know. That wasn't an audible, but I was have to throw my pink Cadillac and whatever else. Ruining the promotional read. Blue is the number to send in on the text line, 702-364-1100. The cool thing is, if you don't want to go on the trip, there's also a cash out. So get involved in one of our trips, potentially to win a trip in the Lotus Summer of Fun. One other interesting note that came out, and there's a lot of them, that came out the last couple of days with the Raiders is organizations, and especially with John Spytek, because the back of the roster is not finished, they're going to be bringing in players constantly. And one of the positions I know they will lean on the market for, if they don't see what they like, is at wide receiver. And that's why people freaking out. They're like, who's the 1? Who's the 2? Who's the 3? Who's going to step up? They're going to give this time. And if guys don't step up and don't instill confidence, then they are going to bring in players, veteran players, and they are looking at the other day, they had in KJ Hamler, Devin Tompkins, and kind of intriguing at the running back position, veteran Miles Sanders, who's a former 1,200-yard back in Philly, but he's kind of been on the mend the last 3 years. Word is he's healthy. I think they will look for a veteran running back in that backup role. I think they will add someone at some point to the Raiders roster.
Well, let's not wait. It's the never too early to speculate. Who are they going to get?
I don't know if it's Miles Sanders.
Oh.
Yeah. Just point out that that's one of the first guys they brought in. And I'm sure we'll find out about more players they're bringing in. 364-1100, 364-1100. Let's do a giveaway here. Aviators and Tacoma playing on the 6th of August. LV Ballpark. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get the tickets if you don't win these from James. 364-1100, caller 7, 4-pack of tickets. Expectations for the Raiders are, let's say, kind of reserved, right? If they were to win 9 games or 10 games, that would be an amazing season. I think most people feel like, hey, don't win 3 unless you're rooting for another high pick. Don't win 3. Make some progress. Win 6, 7, maybe 8. That is not the case at all with UNLV football, which is kind of an amazing thing about their transformation. They've won 30 games, the Rebels have, the last 3 years. And today at practice, and we'll do this on the way back, we talked to Dan Mullen about expectations. He's been asked this a lot, and he gave another good answer today.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
We have a WNBA roundup coming up around 3:45. Willie's here. It's Cofield. James is in as well. It's a Wednesday edition of Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas. So football camps opening up this week. UNLV football and Raiders football. We gave you the first roundup of Raiders news and comments from Kirk Cousins. More Kirk Cousins and more Max Crosby coming up a little later on. Listen, college football, they make guys available, maybe not as much as the NFL, and you understand that. Today, Jake Pope spoke a little bit from Jet Thomas. Pope is the safety. Jet Thomas is the running back. Of course, the head coach is Dan Mullen, and he struck a similar tone to the last 3 head coaches, including himself, Willie, Marcus Arroyo, and Barry Odom, and now Dan Mullen. What happens in year 2 of a program? Everything feels a little more comfortable. Because year 1, you're just moving in, you're trying to establish your system, your players haven't had that much exposure to you, so Mullen made a point of, the first day of practice, everything felt a little more comfortable than
Everybody's hunky-dory.
Right? Than a year ago. By the way, your guy Hunky was on fire today. He was very entertaining, Hunky Cooper.
The best.
He was ready to go.
She's
He
the
was
best.
ready. He came out. He had he had the sleeves rolled up. I won't say that possibly a rando just walked into practice and wanted to get some Gatorade, but maybe that happened. And the mayor, the man who covers everything, immediately went over and was like, "Get out."
We call him Gator. If we're talking about the same person.
And then he was noticing that, hey, August, check that, July 29th, when it's 1:04 in the morning, it's a real wake-up call for players who maybe showed up to camp and are like, you know what, those last 10 pounds, I'll work them off at camp.
Not in this heat.
Well, when you're a big fella, you know how easily you put weight on when you're 6'3" to 6'6".
Yeah,
it can happen. And a lot of the guys on the team, a lot of newcomers, haven't been out there. They may have come from the SEC or somewhere in the South or even in the Midwest where it's humid and it might be 82 in August. This is 104 at 9 o'clock in the morning is a whole different ballgame.
Well, and what you have to remember too, depending on where you come from in the around the country. Let's say you come from the South or a humid area. You retain water, you absorb water, you're sweating, but you're more likely to maintain it, right? So a lot of times if you feel like you can cut, you're going to cut. Well, they say you're going to cut water first, then you're going to cut into your body fat. The problem is you have to drink as much as you can, and your body's going to absorb as much as it can. So if you're trying to cut and drain and hold and sustain, it's very hard when you're outside to hold water because you are sweating it out. So it's almost like you have to double up. So if you can drink a gallon of water a day to stay hydrated, and you're a football player and you're heavy out in that heat, you're going to have to probably up that to 1.5 to 2 gallons. It's difficult.
Here's Dan Mullen today talking about experience, helping out, understanding the system, and a little more comfort around the opening practice.
There is a big comfort level, 1 a year, 2 for some of the guys in the system. Coming out of spring in June, we were able to get a couple OTAs and walk through stuff. So the guys were able, that kind of, you're trying to space it out through the year of learning. So there's constant retention. But we'll watch it on film right now. I mean, I think there's, it wasn't like confused looks out there. I mean, guys know what they're doing. You know what? There's just more familiarity with what's going on, of what we're doing, more familiarity with the players, with our routine, with how we're running the program. We're always tweaking, trying to get better and just try to do some things a little bit different that'll maybe fit this year's guys better, even how we practice. But I think, it's just that comfort level. I've been out here in this heat before.
And by the way, that tweaking does not stop in fall camp with what you're doing on both defense and offense, because you have so many new faces on all these college football rosters. And especially, technically, Orgy has been here, didn't play a whole lot last year, but Jackson Arnold is new to the program. Now, he was here in the spring, so he's had a chance to learn, and he got to go through those 15 practices in the spring, but they're going to have to adjust to what his skill set is. And it was interesting at Mountain West Conference Media Day. I thought Mullen, and I don't mean anything when I say it this way, but had a good moment of honesty where he talked about last year where he was like, as the season started and went along, I kind of discovered that we weren't there yet on defense. And the other thing he said was, we discovered pretty early on that our quarterback wasn't exactly copacetic with all that we were running, and that we needed to have him out of the pocket a lot more. And, of course, he's referencing Anthony Calandria, who fetched more than $2 million to go to Nebraska and play in the Big Ten. So the adjustments don't stop now. When real game reps come along, you find out about all your positions, but especially your quarterback. Can we run what we want to run? And if not, then we got to run other stuff. So I'm fascinated to see what the difference is between what they run with Arnold and what they were running with Calandria.
Well, they have to. I would imagine that he's got to stick as close as he can to his system. That doesn't mean it has to be identical, but he's going to at least want to run for the guys that are coming back. You have a majority. I mean, one guy's gone, and then for everybody that is back, you want to stick to it and have him adjust. You have to tailor your offense around your number one guy, but at the same token, he should be learning that system. Don't you think?
Well, I think you're going to try some things, and then when real defenses go against you, you start to see if it's going to work. And I also believe that this Rebel team is going to be maybe a little more run-heavy than it was last year. I think Arnold is a very straight forward runner. Calandria was kind of a looper. Yeah. He was great. I mean, once he got in the open space, he was fast. But I think Arnold's more of a downhill guy, and they never got early they didn't have a fully healthy Jalen Glover. They really like him. By the way, I have to ask him what he's weighing. He looked like a freaking bowling ball today. He is muscled up, and he's like 5'8" and 215. They got a lot of good production from him towards the end of the season when people started really ganging up on Jet Thomas. So you figure with Jet Thomas, his average touches last year were 14.4 a game, and I don't think they're going to get to like 23 a game, but I bet you they up it to 18, and then Glover's going to be out there more active. So I think they're going to be a more heavy run team at times this year. And don't forget, if Alex Orji is healthy, Willie, he's a guy who can get downhill. So they may have packages for Orji to be out there. So I think they're going to be a little more run heavy early in the season.
That north-south, that could pose a problem for the Rebels if he can't adjust and move. When you look at some of the new additions, teams like Northern Illinois coming in from the MAC, right? I mean, if you can't escape and you can't go left right, North Dakota State, you want to be running into the middle of a beefed-up line that's used to that big sky play, that that FCS powerhouse. Who else is in there? UTEP. I mean, it's not as if they're powerhouses coming in. North Dakota State was at its level, but at the same token, you have to be a little more agile, a little more adaptable.
By the way, I never said he wasn't agile and couldn't go side to side. I just said he's more north-south.
He's more apt to doing
because
that.
he's bigger. He's a bigger, stronger guy than Calandre. I think Calandre did a lot of that, one, because he trusted his speed, two, because he was a little guy.
Big and strong is good.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to learn how to go east-west.
And there is – listen, I have no idea what Orji's going to be this year because he's coming off a torn knee and he tore his hamstring. And he was out there. He had the knee brace. And he looked good when he escaped. He can run. He's as big as any quarterback in college football. I mean, he is legitimately 6'3" and 245. He's a freaking monster. When he came back, was around the team a lot more at games in the second half of the season. I kept looking. I'm like, who is the D lineman who's hurt? Who's the edge rusher who's hurt? I mean, that's how big he is. Mullen, after he talked about the comfort, also mentioned, hey, first practice, August is coming. Very important to your point about the hydration. Like, we got to drill it in these guys early on in, we'll call it fall camp. Got to make sure everyone is taking care of what they're supposed to take care of because of the heat.
What do you think of practice in general, and what did you tell them after practice?
Well, right now, this start, we got to take care of our bodies, right? I mean, we try to make sure get off the field as before the heat of the day gets going. But by doing that, when we come out tomorrow, we got to really take care of our bodies with hydration, with eating, with recovery, the cold tubs, going to the swimming pool today, and physically take care of our bodies, and then use the extra time to mentally retain everything that went in, because we'll have a whole new install tomorrow.
That's why it's important also whatever they did off season in terms of their training in the weight room, because they're big guys already, but the bigger the muscle, the lean muscle mass that you carry, your muscles are going to contain. Our body's made up of 70% water anyway. So you want them, these guys come in physically in shape. They're already big guys, they're football players, but you want to have that lean muscle mass in place so it can retain that water, as I mentioned before, because it can be brutal out there. And the last thing you want is your body start cramping up.
Mullen had this question, I'm sure, dozens of times in interviews, especially at Mountain West Conference Media Day. He was asked about dealing with expectations, and he embraces it. And keep in mind, again, this is a team by the odds that is top 6 in the group of 6 to get that lone CFP bid. And Mullen has his answer here about dealing with high expectations.
Listen, no one's going to have higher expectations than me ever for our team. I can promise you that. And but you know what? A lot of the guys were recruited. A lot of guys came here to play. A lot of the guys came back. The expectation here is to compete for and win championships. I guess is that the expectation outside of here now? Inside the building, that hasn't changed. For us, that just is what it is, and that's why guys come here.
Yes, it is the expectation outside the building. I've seen repeatedly the biggest college football experts who will, deep dive on CFP group of 6, who's going to make it to the college football playoff, and UNLV is often mentioned. Now, a big part of it is, hey, they've got a giant name quarterback in Jackson Arnold who's in from Auburn and Oklahoma, and people respect, and they saw the results in year 1 by Dan Mullen, so they assume that, hey, with the collection of talent and that coach, that they're going to be in the mix.
I just saw a tweet 2 days ago, I think it was, and they put their bracket out, and the prediction was UNLV for that final spot. And they had them play in Georgia and getting ousted. But nevertheless, the good thing about having Dan Mullen as a coach, or even prior to him, Barry Odom, these guys come into camp with a chip on their shoulder. They come in with an expectation to contend for a conference title. Let's say the UNLV wasn't one of the favorites. It would still be coming in with a chip on the shoulder as if it should be, and that's what you want. You want that mindset from day one because it's infectious, and it can become sort of intoxicating, and then all of a sudden it carries over. And by the time week 1 comes around, or week 0, whatever week you're starting your season, you want to go in thinking that you're badass. You are the best of the conference, and that's the sort of mentality I think that they have right now.
The favorite I see listed by the odds by most people is actually Boise, right? Familiar foe, out of the conference now. Keep in mind, Boise first 2 weeks, make or break time. They are at Oregon. I don't think people expect them to beat Oregon, but if they play competitive, then that keeps them in the mix for the CFP bid. And then looky here, Memphis, 2 weeks after they play UNLV, is in Boise. So they can't lose both of those games.
Why not?
I'm saying they can, but they can't. And then their schedule lines up. Not easy. From there, the non-con lightens up, but road games in conference at Fresno. Fresno expected to be very good. At Colorado State, maybe a bounce-back year. They do host San Diego State. They host Oregon State. They're at Utah State. So really the beginning of the season is going to tell a big part of the story. We'll come back to Mullen and UNLV and other notes today from the first day of practice. And he's already starting to hype up the Memphis game because in a lot of ways, that Memphis opener on August 29th is and could serve as an elimination game. The Rebels have to win that because if Memphis gets a win on the road, then Memphis suddenly moves up the numbers in terms of a chance to get the CFP bid from the group of 6, and they'll have a massive road win. The optics of that will not be good for the Rebels, so Mullen's already doing the pitch. Fans better come out.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on. Busy week for the Aces, the WNBA. Yesterday, took care of the Fire pretty easily, 98-83. What do you think?
I actually was impressed because of the balance. Asia did her Asia thing with the double-double, but I thought that the balance was really – they played really well. You know, Dana Evans – even in her first few games back off surgery last off season and coming in. One thing I asked Becky about it, she was like, "Yeah, I wish she would just shoot the ball." It's typical Dana, and I know she's fresh off making her season debut, but she's got to remember she's a shooter, and I'm not going to get mad if she misses. I'm going to get mad if she doesn't shoot the ball. So, but Jewel Lloyd, I thought was really. Just made a statement in her presence alone with her aggressiveness at both ends of the court. I thought she played incredible defense. She was hounding whoever she might have been playing against. She was hitting her spot-up Jays. Jackie Young looked great. Chelsea's I mean, they just looked really crisp. And one thing I asked Chelsea Gray after the game was, hey, last year after that atrocious loss to the Minnesota Lynx, Asia sent out a group text. This year, you're not 14-14. You're playing. Your ladies are playing well. The one thing that you've done probably the worst outside of defense as a whole, you haven't won at home. You already got 5 losses this season. Of the 3 championship years, you never lost more than 5. One more home loss, and you'll have had more. Was there any sort of message given? Did Asia send a text out? Did you talk to the team? You're a leader. She said, we had a team meeting. That'll stay between us, but we did talk about the one thing we just talked about was being on the same page with immediacy. So, and I thought that that's exactly what they looked like last night.
Why did Brianna Turner get 32 minutes?
She started because NaLyssa Smith did not. NaLyssa Smith wasn't even in the arena. She had a stomach virus.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, a little bug. A little bugaboo.
Uh-oh. Do we want to revisit Monday's conversation about, as Whitlock's show called it, hooping and humping? The Dejanay Carrington claim that in her relationship with NaLyssa Smith, who's the power forward starter for the Aces, that NaLyssa may have been doinking her way around the league or the team. By the way, I heard the name Dana Evans from you, and then in that story, These are very touchy subjects.
I didn't hear Dana Evans.
These are very touchy subjects.
Yeah.
I'm fine talking about them. I mean within the organization. I have no idea what a coach does. And is this a player-led thing? Because what you said the other day made a lot of sense that, hey, if this is going to become a distraction, because a lot of these players are up on social media too, and it's very much unplugged. You mentioned might be Becky, but more likely it may be A'ja Wilson, who's like, no distractions. Is there any chance yesterday's absence was related to any of this?
100%.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's not. But we don't know to speculate and say that.
Right.
We really don't.
But I will say with the WNBA, without being told, and they don't have to tell us, and again, that I always bring up legal stuff. That may be an HR violation to even say, hey, she's suspended because of this. I don't think they would say that. But without them saying it, if you think we're going to go wild and run with possibilities, trust me, content creators will go crazy on this stuff.
No.
Oh, yes, they will.
You're right. Let me correct. You said a lot in one breath, so let me say what I'm saying. No to. I don't think that they're suspending her or telling her you can't play because of what you did because all she did was going on her Twitch and she just talked about it and told her side of the story, which she had every right to do. But what I do think is that Becky's the type of person to be like, Liz, I'm going to give you one game. Get your head right. Pull your head out. And let's get focused on the season. You give you one game to and we could say whatever you want. I've asked this in the past, and I don't know how this is going to come across. I don't know how people are going to take it, if there are women out there listening. But I've asked in the past, when at a left field, a player looks good the day before at the facility and that morning at shoot-around, and we show up and they're not, is it possible that in those 4 or 5 hours from shoot-around to showing up to the arena, their cycle started? And let's say some of them it hits harder than others, and you just can't play. Well, you don't want to put that on the injury report, so you put illness or you put stomach virus.
By the way, why would that offend people?
Well, because then you hear the mansplaining. You don't know about a woman's.
There's a uniqueness about this league that
So it's a legitimate.
You can have days where you don't feel well that don't affect men that way.
Right. So it's very likely that they just put stomach virus or illness, not for that reason, but at the same reason that nobody's going to ask. So is it possible that Becky probably said, you know what, whatever was going on, if it's bugging you mentally, I can see it's affecting you. You got one game. Get it out of your system. We need you for the Liberty. I'm not going to get into detail too much other than the fact that I went out to talk to A'ja Wilson today over a major project I'm working on, and Becky. 2 projects I'm working on, and I need to talk to A'ja about both, Becky about one, and the last person to leave the court, Melissa Smith. She was going hard.
Okay.
She looked good.
The next day. Okay, good. Yeah. Good. So we should expect her back sooner than later. Make sure you go to Ball is Life up on all the socials. Ball is Life. And I saw Willie's got a betting special tonight for the Atlanta game against Dallas. Check it out.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Back in Vegas, Cofield. We're on in Reno, ESPN Reno. This hour is brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Willie Ramirez is here. It's Cofield. James is running the show. Let's get to the Big Four.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers presents the Big Four at 4. Number 4.
So, Willie, I spent 10 days in the Northeast hanging with the fam, right? My parents are getting older, so I was like, hey, let me take some time. I want to do some shows, too. So I did some shows.
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
Radio shows. We did here. We were doing shows.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant like you took in some shows. No, Broadway or something.
We were doing some shows. And, boy, the one thing I was reminded of, if you think I'm confrontational, I'm like the meek one in my family.
That's scary.
We had a family dinner on Saturday night, and because my dad's got the ability to explode like once every 4 years.
Was this the Brajol night?
This was the Brajol night, which everyone should have been happy. We had great food.
Yeah.
So between my mother, my older brother, and me, I joked at the beginning of the meal, I'm like, we are going to go around the table and just talk about public confrontations and explosions, right? And then I was joking. And then it started, and we went round and round. I was like, What is going on here?
Was it like the thing from Seinfeld? What's the thing you do every Christmas? What is that thing called?
It was not, because it wasn't specific
called?
to. I forget what it's called now. The airing of grievances.
Yeah.
Festivus.
So is that kind of
no?
Oh.
This is just naturally like, hey, the other day I was out and this cashier
okay,
did this,
I
and
gotcha.
I got a bagel that wasn't good, and a pizza. I'm like, what is happening? And then I was reminded of like why I am the way I am, and I'm the calm one. So here's the thing: if you want a confrontation, there's going to be a confrontation, right, Willie? That's going to happen. So
FAFO?
I'm reading Twitter the other day, and I'm a team player, right? Anyone here will tell you I'm a team player at Lotus Broadcasting. And our good buddy JTTB, JT the Brick, as we've dubbed him, the APD, America's Program Director, because JT has comments on lots of people on their radio shows and their TV shows. He'll never mention them by name. I just told you what I do in my family. Confrontation. And you know what that means? I come right at you. So subtweets and little comments, that's for you, not for me. So the other day, see a rando tweet. It's getting harder and harder, according to JTTB. It's getting harder and harder for hosts and guests to stick to sports in 2026. Which, by the way, I thought the stick to sports thing is like laughable now. At least they weren't ranking chicken fingers or sports movies. Now, wait a second.
Straight shot at us.
Willie?
Straight shot.
What were we doing on Monday? National Chicken Finger Day. We talk about the national food days all the time. Now, if you notice when we do it, there may be a sneaky way when we mention a certain food item to include valued clients and partners. Like Raising Cane's got a bunch of mentions. Ding, ding. There's a method to the madness. Sometimes it may feel like it is just random talk and gobbledygook, but it's not. So
how about the listener engagement? We had a lot of people write in. Direct shot. And I will say, by the way,
yes,
the day that we did that show,
yes,
at least that day was not National I Don't Know How to Drive Day.
I don't think we should get into driving.
Oh, no. You take a shot at me.
No driving exploits about fellow members of the. Like, we have salespeople who don't know how to park. Okay, we'll just leave it. We'll leave it at that. Let's save this.
Pocket it, save the ammo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you want to go back and watch, it was a very quick National Chicken Fingers Day conversation. I love chicken fingers. I love food. It's why we have multiple chefs on the show. It's why Mark McMillan is on the show. It's why we mentioned Mark's sponsors like Grilla Grills. There's a method to the madness, but sometimes it's hard to understand.
Will you celebrate National Chicken Wing Day today?
I won't.
Oh.
I won't. I am much more... See, now you're doing it again. You're going to make him mad. By the way, he was not listening the other day. That's what he said as well.
Sure.
It's like, I didn't hear it. Mm-hmm. I'm not as much a chicken wing guy as I am a chicken finger guy. It's going to sound very first world problem. Chicken wings can be a bit laborious. And I haven't mastered that whole... Here we go. I haven't mastered that whole drop the flat and suck it all out or do it with the drum.
The number one.
I'm not saying I don't like wings. I just like fingers more.
That's fine.
And I also think...
Nothing wrong with that.
We bring this up all the time. Who's doing the national days willy-nilly? Big Chicken certainly is not in charge of this. You can't have Fingers Day on Monday and Wings Day on Wednesday the same week.
Sure you can.
You're going to overwhelm us with chicken talk for a week.
100%.
And then what are we supposed to do? Now JTTB's mad at us. We can't do
the
chicken,
other
chicken talk
363 days a year. We're at it. Well, because next week it would be National Barbecue Chicken Wing Day.
Did you already look it up?
No.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Another stick to sports topic that came down
this one
a day ago was Dan Orlovsky on ESPN going in on dudes who get pedicures. I thought of you immediately.
Yeah.
This was such an obvious troll.
Yeah, who was he taking the shot at?
No one. Rex Ryan wasn't there. So those jokes came up. Like, how is Rex not on the panel about men's pedicures? But basically Orlovsky said, you're not a man if you're getting pedicures. And I know so many people who get pedicures. And folks, it was a troll. But this is what we do now. It's engagement farming. And people got so mad.
4 months of my leg in a brace. This past Saturday was the first time I found a spot. Nobody spoke English, and that's fine.
It's the best spot. It's the best spot.
I felt like I was in the middle of Angela Johnson's comedy bit.
I will tell you, the English is very clear when they try to upsell you.
Oh, 100%.
On whatever polish.
Yeah.
I've only gotten a couple. I enjoyed it.
Hey,
I'm not as manly as Dan Orlovsky, who, by the way, who wears more makeup on a daily basis? Me, you, or Dan Orlovsky?
Exactly.
Dan. So hey, you can cake on the makeup. Well, we can't get our feet worked on? You want us all to be Bill Belichick with the talons and the jeans and the flip-flops?
I get the same the talons. I get the same grief sometimes about my hands. There are some days, I think I brought this up not too long ago. There are some days, Steve, I have to literally wake up, and I'm showing you right now, like I'm slowly, it's like I'm warming up my hands for the day. They're not swollen, but they're tight. They're filled from arthritis. 39 years of typing nonstop.
Gripping the barbell.
No. And as a young kid, cracking the knuckles the wrong way, instead of pulling them straight out, I would crack them. So altogether, my hands get tight in the mornings. Sometimes you're in a lot of pain. But on top of that, you're tapping away. I use that Grammarly. I think I told you that. I use that Grammarly.
Yeah.
Do you know that since I started using Grammarly in 2021, do you know how many words it's up to now? 110 million words it's checked since 2021 that I've typed. I average around 750,000 words a month. I kid you not. So you're banging away. The fingertips I love getting my hands taken care of. So my hands and feet. And on top of it, you're walking around at my age with your knees and your joints and dress shoes and you're pounding away. You got to get your hands and feet taken care of. Period.
What kind of sucker lets all women have the fun? Come on now.
People who don't like chicken fingers.
That's a
I don't know.
Horrible accusation to make. You don't know that.
I was trying to find a way to tie it all together, but it failed miserably.
Number two.
Number 2.
So we talked Monday about Josh Pastner and his "By the Runner Rebels" pitch that really took off in the middle of last week. He had told us on July 14th. I thought it was a nothing burger. I didn't even put it out. And then the local ABC station put it out. But really only had part of his pitch. We put out the whole pitch, but by then no one's going to watch that. Pastner made it pretty clear what he was talking about. But man, oh man, did that go viral. And then they had to release a statement on Monday. Dan Wolken from Yahoo wrote a story about it. Said, no, UNLV basketball isn't, quote, for sale, but Josh Pastner had no shortage of millionaires calling to ask if it was possible. Is the idea really that crazy? So here's what happens out of Pastner with his pitch, and he's very creative on stuff like this. And the original pitch, we'll tell you again, the original pitch was he walked up to Cofield and Company, and he heard us talking about NBA ownership and all the different people that were going to potentially buy the NBA team here. And he said, hey, Magic, hey, LeBron, hey, Mr. Foley, buy us. Now, he quickly pivoted to, that doesn't mean you get ownership. You get certain privileges like access. So do you want to know why? Because a lot of people reacted to his statement that he put out on Monday where they were like, come on, who's dumb enough to believe that, he was saying you could actually buy the Runner Rebels. What do you think happened that he had to put out the statement?
I honestly, I don't know.
I'm going to say...
Oh, I thought you had the answer.
From sources that... I don't know that anyone at the school was actually bothered by it.
No, but from a legality standpoint, I'm sure that...
I don't know that anybody at the school was bothered by it. But there are other people who are connected to education in this state.
Board of Regents in Reno.
So that's why... Because it was a weird deal where you saw even the social media kept it going for like 3 days, and they made another Buy the Rebels big pitch, and then all of a sudden... statement. You're like, wait, what happened here? So Pastner trying to have some fun, but I guess the fun police came in and shut it down. But here's the thing. They didn't really shut it down because he got, and UNLV and the Runner Rebels got like 5 days of promotion for UNLV basketball in late July. And maybe, I don't think Wolken's lying here. Wolken is onto something. There was not a shortage of millionaires calling to ask what was possible. So I actually think down the road that this pitch is going to probably produce some sort of investment into the program. So
I wouldn't be surprised if there's already been a couple of checks cut. And you know what? Good for it. Because how many years have we been talking about when NIL first came out? And you and I have said, with the amount of casinos in this town and the power brokers around town and the car dealerships that have put together envelopes for certain players have helped that original program that everybody wants the glory years to go back to, and those people that loved Jerry Tarkanian in those days. Now you can legally do it. If there's ever a town that could generate $1 million or whatever the cap is for NIL and for the program, and hello, LVCVA that's giving up money to the Aces.
So, well, that's a different ballgame. That's not who they were addressing.
But I'm making a
point.
But
I'm with you on that.
I'm making a point that
there should be an investment. There is money.
Yeah,
there's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Then there's donor money. Then there could be, quote, owner money.
Right.
Number one story?
Number one.
So I really enjoyed some of the coverage of the Big Ten football media days. It's rolling on. Tony Petitti, the commissioner, he, of course, from the business side of baseball, has come over. He's a business guy. Headline, Petitti dismisses, quote, polls suggesting fan backlash to a 24-team college football playoff. Let me actually read it in English. Dismisses polls suggesting fan backlash to a 24-team CFP. This is very rich. I'll follow up on this. I think Petitti is basically saying, fans schmans. They don't know what they want. We know what you want. We'll ask Willie on the way back. We'll follow up on this. What do we want, Tony? Tell us what we want.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
This hour every day is brought to you by our friends at Battleborn Injury Lawyers. 766-1400 is a call from anywhere in Nevada. Call from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Number 766-1400. In the north, 775-766-1400. Willie across the way. It's Cofield. James is here. We were just talking about some of the highlights of Big Ten football media days. Now, they have to have a bunch of days because they have so many teams in the conference. I heard our buddy Barry Odom doing an interview on Sirius XM and sounded happy and confident. He's in year 2. There's going to be some pressure because they didn't win a game in the Big Ten last year. And it was funny. I saw a photo of him. I didn't even ID the players. And one of them may have been Drake Lindsay. But I just noticed him in Chicago. He's taking a picture. He's got 2 guys to his right, 1 guy to his left. And Barry looked like you standing in the middle of Adam Hill and JVT. Now, Adam and JVT are kind of big, 6'3" and some extra inches or whatever, quarter inch with Adam. JVT is about 6'1.5". They're going to dwarf you. Barry Odom played linebacker at Missouri. He's not tiny. And he had some dudes next to him. They all look like they were 6'5" to 6'7". Now, I don't know if they can play. I really had a lot of respect. Now, he was able to come in and quick fix UNLV rapidly. That's what quick fix means. And he also had some good holdover players. But that's the Mountain West. In the Big Ten, you got to freaking turn over your roster, and I trust that he's going to turn it over. I don't know if they're going to make a major jump to like 3 wins in the Big Ten, but I hope it works for him. We like him. He took a job. I don't know if that was the best job to take. I think they have some institutional issues, some sports department issues. Their AD, and he mentioned it during the interview, is retiring. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing.
Okay, let me just throw this at you. 2-10, 4-8, 3-9. 2-10, 4-8, 3-9. 2021, 2022, 2023. Those were Indiana's records. Curt Cignetti comes in, they go 11-2, and then they go 16-0 and win it all.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about a conference that includes Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and then, by the way, just married the Pac-12 per se, bringing in some others. But point is, Indiana was never known as a football school. It was always a basketball school. I'm looking back since 2020, and I'm not going to go through every one of them, but realistic, I'm not going to recite every single one of them, but from quick glance, 1, 2, with 3 winning seasons, one of them being the pandemic year from 2003 up to 2023. That's 21 years.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible in that conference, and if there's a guy that has the wherewithal and the confidence instillment, meaning the guy who's going to make his players believe in him, Barry Odom's that guy. There are other coaches, I'm sure, in that conference that also do that, but Barry Odom is a guy who can get his players to buy in, and if he has the right squad, he now has a year under his belt. He's had a chance to recruit his own players, use the transfer portal. So let's see what happens here. It took Cignetti 1 year, his first year, and they go 11-2 after taking over for Tom Allen, and then the next year they go undefeated to win the national championship. Now, I'm not expecting Purdue to win the national championship, but it's not unlikely that we see Barry Odom turn Purdue into a bowl team this season.
This year's a big step.
It would be
big.
big.
But I have every bit of confidence. First of all, you got a 6-year deal, so they know it was going to be a build. Now I have every bit of confidence that Barry Odom there will get them to the point where they will make bowl games consistently. And really what that means is winning 3 or 4 games in the Big Ten. You can't go winless or 1 and then get to 6 wins. So he'll get them there. He'll get them there. He did make a pitch that
the team
some of the positives of Purdue, that they have 600,000 living alums. And here's the challenge. When you're rebuilding a program, you have to reinvigorate the alums, and the money has to come pouring in. And Indiana, their alum base is ridiculously big, and lots of them have money, and Cignetti got them fired up. So Barry Odom's got to get his people fired up. The other thing they've got to nail is they better be right on the quarterback. Ryan Brown was the quarterback last year. Pretty sure he's going to be the quarterback again. He started 12 last year. He's got to be good. Because if you screw up the quarterback, because guess who didn't screw up the quarterback back-to-back years? Cignetti. But I'm going to give you some examples before we get back to Petiti and that 24-team college football playoff idea. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you some examples. Well, here, clearly, UNLV, it's not really public knowledge, but they got the troops fired up in the market, and they got money where they weren't getting money from before. And their NIL is healthy for the football program. It's getting better for the basketball program. Hell, they landed the first jersey patch deal in the entire country at $2.2 million a year from Acesso Biologics. That was incredible. Odom got him fired up. Mullen got it to the next level. 2 examples I heard today. 1, and I will mention, before we say any of this, it was me, and almost me alone, who told people in this market and around the country that NIL and legal cheating was going to change the entire landscape of college football, because now that it's above board, watch the markets that start spending money on their teams. And Podunk, nothing against Ames, Iowa, or Lincoln, Nebraska. Do you realize that Matt Rule is pissing and moaning about the money around Nebraska football now? Really? Well, here's what's happened. Let's look at college basketball. New York City has St. John's. St. John's sucked or was mediocre for a long time. Rick Pitino comes in, gets people fired up. Mike Rapoli is a St. John's guy.
Money.
You got to get people fired up, right? Because in a lot of cases, the money in these small places, if you don't win, the spigot goes off. Bob Chesney at UCLA Los Angeles, UCLA, right? Unbelievable alum base. Big market. They've gotten $40 million in donations to their football program. It's a whole new world now. The crazy one, I want to get the number. I want to double check this again. Cal, with a new coach, Willie, has gotten $80 million in donations. You're talking Southern California. You're talking Northern California. What do most grads of Cal and Stanford have? Success and money. This is changing the whole landscape. And we've only seen the beginning of it. And we were just mentioning earlier.
And isn't Ron Rivera still the GM up there?
He is. Yeah. But it's the head coach. It's hope. It's hope. It's hope and telling people, listen, we're, in the case of Cal, we're in the ACC. We got to up things, okay? We got to compete. Be a part of the winning. Now, I don't know if that's going to last forever. You got to win. You got to win. But how crazy is that? How many people told us UCLA, they can't win in football? No one cares. Oh, they don't care. They got a guy who's fired up. Which, by the way, you want to look into a good story for women's basketball? You know who Chesney brought in as one of his first allies to talk to the football team?
Yeah, we've talked about, you and I talked, where you brought this up to me.
Mention it.
Corey Close.
Corey Close, the women's basketball coach.
Mm-hmm.
Women's basketball coach came in, talked to the football team.
I think she's the longest tenured coach.
They were so fired up that then Corey Close invited members of the football team over to her house for like a big pool party, big speech on winning. How cool is that? So now you've got cooperation within the school. Now you got people fired up within the school. All right, so we're seeing the landscape change, which leads me to, does the Big Ten commish actually know what he's talking about with the resistance to a 24-team college football playoff? Is he actually right that we don't know what we really want? We don't understand what we're going to get. Where are you on this? Doubling the size of the playoff.
I don't think it should be that big.
What's the perfect number?
I think 16 is where you cap it, only because it's such a powerful outside of the March Madness, obviously that's different, but when you're talking football and you look at the NFL playoffs and you look at the other pro sports, that's what gets in is 16. It's manageable. College basketball is different because of how they run their tournament, and they're sort of used to doing from AAU up, those big tournaments. But college football, I think a 16 team makes sense if you're going to expand. But past that, I just don't think it's I think you're taking away from the allure of the traditional bowl games, the little guys that all of a sudden may get nixed out, and
the regular season,
earn your way through it in the regular season.
The regular season becomes something closer to the NFL where you can have multiple blemishes.
Yeah, earn your way to get in the 16. But past that, I would say you stick it to 16. You don't go higher than 16.
Yeah, polls keep showing 75 to 90% of fans don't want a 24-team playoff. But you know what they didn't want either? Lots of them, a 12-team playoff. You know what they didn't want? A 4-team playoff. So I do think there is a limit where they could push it too far. 24 is getting there. But
24 is high.
But it's not going to be stopped. If the SEC and the Big Ten are on the same page and they have auto bids where they're guaranteed like 5 schools apiece at a minimum, we're not going to be able to step in the way of this thing.
It's going to go from being an intriguing playoff to a novelty. The same way the bowl games when you and I grew up, where we couldn't wait for certain bowl games. Now we don't want to even talk about them because it's all with corporate sponsorship name. That's not even the original Peach and Orange Bowl.
On the way back, a spotlight, and then we'll check in with our LA report with Arash Markazi in 15.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Every day at this time at 4:35, we do our A's Spotlight. As, of course, the A's are going to be moving here to Vegas in 2028. The stadium on the Strip is well along the way. A's are in the midst of a series, or in the middle of a series, with the Red Sox.
The Red Hot Red Sox.
6:40 first pitch tonight. Sandoval and Lopez. As I've mentioned multiple times, it would be nice to get second half Jacob Lopez this second half. And his first time out again last week, 5 innings, 1 hit, was pretty effective. So we'll see what he can do against Patrick Sandoval, who's a journeyman who every once in a while can put up a decent start. But the bottom line is the Red Sox have been hot as a pistol. So far, though, in the series, Willie, they've split. Last night, nice job by the A's. As Hogan Harris closed it out, it wasn't easy. Gave up 2 runs. But you'll start to notice Henry Bolte was slumping a little bit, had 2 hits last night. Tommy Tanks, 4 of 4. He played like 9 games. He's had 2 4-hit games. So the youngins are really what you're watching here down the stretch, and especially until we find out who's going to be here and who's not after the trade deadline.
What's the line? What's the current line? You got it up there on your app? What's the current line on this game?
A lot of questions.
It's not. You ask me questions all the time.
Boston minus 142.
I would be willing to take a shot with the dog tonight, and here's why. First of all, Lopez in his last 3 starts, he's 1-1, but he hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in any of his starts. Now, granted, one of them, he only lasted 1.2 innings. That was in Chicago against the White Sox. But he's pitched well enough to win, scattering 3 hits over his last 3 starts. You know who he's never faced in his career? The Boston Red Sox. Now, a lot of times, if this game were in Fenway, I would say, okay, this could be a problem. He's never faced the Red Sox. He's never pitched at Fenway. It can be intimidating for a kid at the start of your career. He's been in for a few years, but nevertheless, you walk into Fenway, you walk into Wrigley, you walk into Yankee Stadium, it can be intimidating. He's at home, still searching for his first win in Sacramento, pitching against a red-hot team that's going to come at him aggressively, and they've never faced him. That could work in his favor. The problem is going to be his bullpen. Or maybe the first 5 innings is a good play where he comes, he shows up. Patrick Sandoval up for the Red Sox, you mentioned. He is 4-4 lifetime with a 2.56 ERA, but he hasn't faced the A's since 2023. And when he did in 2023 in 3 starts, 4.60 ERA, allowed 9 runs, 8 of them earned, 2 home runs that season. So he hasn't faced them since. This could be a good spot where Boston just falls flat, even though they're the better team. It's not, obviously not out of the question. It happens. And you have to ask yourself, for as good as Boston is playing and as bad as the A's are playing, that's not that bad of a line. That's not that high of a line where they may be begging the chalk eaters to come in and bet the Red Sox. Could be a trap for you to jump on. Now, it's not a look ahead yet, but you know who Boston's going to play, and they're going to string they could be asking a lot from their starters, so they're not using up their bullpen. Why? They're spending the weekend in Chavez Ravine. So this might be a good spot for the A's. There's your handicap for tonight.
I'd like to see Jeff McNeil play, even though I'm very much with the youth movement, simply if he needs to be showcase him to the Red Sox. I don't know if you saw what happened to the Red Sox, but they traded a good young pitcher, Connerly early, to the Nats, and they picked up Curtis Mead, who was having a breakout season with 17 homers and 48 ribs, and a guy who could play second and third, and Curtis Mead breaks his wrist. So he's probably down for the season, so they're going to be you would think, back on the market looking for some infield help. And McNeil, if he could fetch a little bit of young pitching back, a little bit maybe lower down the system, he's not Curtis Mead in the same production, but he'd be a good trade piece for Boston to pick up.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
4 o'clock hour presented by Battleborn Injury Lawyers. Willie's here. It's Cofield. Arash Markazi with our SoCal report, of course, from the Sporting Tribune. Arash, where are you today? What are you doing, buddy?
I'm at Dodger Stadium. We got the second game of a 3-game series against Seattle. Training camp's in full swing here. I was at Chargers. We had people at the Rams. We got folks at the Raiders. We're all over the place.
Arash is up with us. Well, I'm gonna step on some toes here because we got a talking to from our program director of sorts about not talking straight sports. But I was very intrigued by your note about Harbaugh getting to talk about Herbert and his engagement to Madison Beer.
Yeah, listen, by the way, I did not know Madison Beer that well or, like, at all prior to Justin Herbert dating her and now being engaged to her. By the way, Jim Harbaugh's the best. I mean, we are very lucky with the Chargers to have not only Jim Harbaugh but Mike McDaniel, two of the more charismatic coaches in the league, maybe league history. So I asked Harbaugh about his own engagement, and I did not know when I say fast-tracked it, like he met his now wife, and he proposed within, I think, like 6 months or something. So he knew it was love at first sight.
Seems fast to me, personally.
Well, it's not a matter of Arash Markazi knowing much about Madison Beer. It's whether or not Madison Beer knows Arash Markazi.
Well, there we go.
The Rams know plenty about Arash Markazi. Arash, what's the update from McVay on Aaron Donald?
So when we talked to McVay yesterday, that was really the first, I don't know why, the first sense I got a feeling that, like, Aaron Donald's for sure going to come back. It's really at this point about sort of like the semantics, like contract and role and reporting. I mean, the way that McVay grinned when he said he had just recently talked to, like, Aaron Donald and he's working out and he's working through his process, like, this isn't, like, it began as sort of like this rumor, and then you saw, like, the TMZ video. Like, at this point, guys, I would be really shocked if Donald does not come back. So now it's really a question of, is it week one? Again, McVay does not play his guys during the preseason, so I'm really not worried about the training camp in the preseason. It's like, does he join them in week one in Australia, or does he join them in week two?
If they were to get him, does it make it easier, harder, more likely? How do you parlay getting Vea into this, or is it the Rams or Chargers? Who's more likely to get them? But can Aaron Donald play a role in that?
Vea's an interesting one because I just don't know if it makes sense if you have Donald as well. The comparison that I made, you know, the 1995 San Francisco 49ers, when they first brought in the cap, and all of a sudden the 49ers went out and got Deion Sanders and Ken Norton, Gary Plummer, and, like, Ricky Jackson. It's like, wait, like, is there a salary cap here? The GM of that team was John McVay. This has very much like a Rams vibe, that any big-name player who's available, whether it's trade or free agency, is linked to the Rams. Again, if the price is right, I know that's cliche, but, like, you know, if they can get him for, like, a second, a third, and a player, maybe they do it. But, man, if you got Donald, at that point, you're really set. Again, it's not a move that they have to trade for. He's there. He's practicing at the facility, from what I've heard. Like, really, this is a matter of Donald trying to figure out, okay, do I want to do this? If I'm going to do it, he's not like halfway in. There's some folks saying, like, oh, like, he doesn't need to come back in week one. If Donald comes back, it will be at the beginning of the season.
Arash Markazi, Sporting Tribune, up on ESPN Las Vegas, ESPN Reno. I mean, the NFL's collective heads will explode if they found a way to get Vita Vea in as a renter player for $17 million and then somehow stretch out Donald's contract. He's owed like $30 million for the coming season, and they get them both. You're right. You start to look around, and you're like, there are just certain teams that know how to use the salary cap, and others have no idea what they're doing. And the Rams are one of them.
Yeah, and they've really gone all in. And I talked to Kevin Demoff about this, their president, and he's like, listen, this isn't because we're going, like, all in. Like, the stars are aligning. Like, the Myles Garrett trade was available. When that happened, like, Aaron Donald was like, oh, man, like, that'd be fun to play alongside him. Again, I don't think that the Vea thing happens with the Donald thing. Like, if they got Vea, maybe it's because Donald's like, I don't think I want to come back. So, but it is so interesting what's happening because the last time the Rams did something along these lines, when they got like Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller, like that was when the Super Bowl was at SoFi and they went like all in. They've really done that again this year, where they are not only the prohibitive favorites, like they're continuing to make moves. I mean, they were the favorites to win the Super Bowl as soon as the last season was done with, and they've only improved their chances since then.
Speaking with Arash Markazi, mayor of Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and any city he happens to visit, Sporting Tribune. All right, Arash, if the Rams sign Aaron Donald, who has more pressure to win in L.A.? The Rams, the Chargers, the Dodgers, the Sparks, the Galaxy, the Lakers, the Clippers?
Well, it's only the Rams and the Dodgers. Those are the prohibitive favorites, I would say. With the Dodgers, you know, like the big question here is with like Tarek Skubal. Like if they don't think Shohei Ohtani is going to be himself on the pitching mound, you know, and again, I really think they're going to go for Skubal like regardless. Now, whether it's really dependent upon Detroit making the move. But you have two teams in Detroit. Two teams in the Rams and the Dodgers where it is championship or bust. No disrespect to the other teams in town. They're competitive, but like there's no other two teams that are just prohibitive favorites, you know, going out to get every superstar they possibly can to the point where fans are like, this is not fair. So pressure between Dodgers and Rams, I would say Rams only because the Dodgers are going for a three-peat, which, listen, they are the prohibitive favorites for. For the Rams, I mean, they've just been knocking at the door, you know, losing in the wild card to Detroit, losing in the divisional round to Philadelphia, losing in the conference championship game to the Seahawks. It's like, man, like this team wants to get back and do what they did back in 2022.
If the Dodgers get Tarek Skubal, the rest of baseball sucks. And let me tell you who leads the suckitude. The Yankees and the Red Sox. Stop letting the Dodgers get everyone big on the trade market. The Dodgers have Blake Snell and Glass now coming back. Stop them.
That's the craziest thing about this, because I forgot if I was talking to you, Steve, or someone else, but it was like, what do the Dodgers have to do? And it's like, they just have to wait, because they got Kiki Hernandez came back yesterday. They got, like, Edwin Diaz is coming back tonight. Tyler Glass now was on the mound pregame. He'll be back. They got Blake Snell coming back. Like the reinforcements are here. So with Skubal, to be honest, it just makes sense for them in terms of like putting all the chips on the table. They are one of those teams that just have such an amazing farm system and an embarrassment of riches when it comes to like really quality players who don't see the field as much as they possibly could and should on another team. So, listen, again, they will make the best trade offer for him. At that point, it's really up to Detroit. Like, are we going to move this guy, or do we think we can potentially keep him? And I don't see any possible way they're keeping Skubal after this year. I don't even know how many games we'll be playing next season, guys. Like, that's a different conversation. But, yeah, the Dodgers are definitely going for it.
Arash, I got to get your reaction to Las Vegas being for sale on the major league level. One, the Raiders, Mark Davis has sold off a good portion of his club with first rights to Egan Durbin to buy even more. What's your reaction to the A's business drawing lots of interest? Mark Cuban and a group buying into the A's, Chan Ho Park and a group, and BTS rapper Suga buying into the A's. Las Vegas is big business and very much wanted by big money people.
Listen, A's one is the most interesting to me because it is such a they're going to have to do something unique with that team where, listen, you want locals to be there, but they put that stadium in the resort corridor where a lot of locals are going to be hesitant to go. It's got to be it's got to be like a sort of like a tourist type team. So you get Mark Cuban involved, you get BTS involved, you get like Channel Park in terms of like getting Korea involved, and making this a team where you coming out to Vegas and like do you go for a show or do you go to see the A's play? Like, this is why whenever some of the folks in town, or not even in town, but like some of the skeptics were like, "Where's the money going to come?" Like, don't worry about the money. Like, I never worry about money when it comes to buildings being built in Las Vegas and professional sports. Those are two things that I do not doubt. So, I think it's a smart play. Again, I can't speak to the investors, and they will get silent investors and people you've never heard of. But BTS guys, they're massive, right? And like Korea and trying to gain that market, and like Mark Cuban and how many people know him, not just from like the Mavericks history, but like Shark Tank. Like getting celebrity investors involved, smart. Trying to tap into Korea and maybe like Japan and like other markets, smart. The other thing is like it's a pretty good young team that's going to be here in 2028. Like they're not a playoff team this year. They may be a playoff team next year. I think that team that comes here in 2028 is a playoff contending team, celebrity investment, shiny new building. Like I'm more bullish on them than I was before.
I'll say it right now, Arash. No more Asian pipeline for the Dodgers. Up yours. Everyone's coming to Vegas. Everyone's coming to Vegas. Okay. I want LeBron here 3 years from now. I still have that dream. He chose Philadelphia. My favorite narratives in the weeks that he was deciding were, well, no one really wants LeBron, and does anyone even want him? And I'm like, okay, financially, do you realize what it's going to do to that market? The move to Philly is so freaking brilliant, and that whole notion that, like, no one's going to want him. You tweeted out early ticket price bumps for LeBron in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's LeBron James, and as much as whether you don't like him or whatever, like he moves the needle. He's LeBron James, and you are getting LeBron James in what could be his last season. And again, I don't think he plays more than 2 years. He might not play more than just this upcoming season. So you're getting to see a GOAT. Like when you had a chance to see Jordan or Tiger Woods or whatever at the end of their career, like you got to do it. And by the way, covering that Lakers team that beat the Rockets in the playoffs. Like, LeBron's still one of the top, 15 to 20, 25 players in the league. So they're still getting a superstar player. So I'm just really excited to see what he could do on a team like that. I think it's smart to go east. I always thought that was the play. I thought it would be Cleveland. I thought it would be Miami. Philadelphia kind of surprised me. But when you look at what the Knicks did, no disrespect to them, but it's like you don't have to be like the best team in the league during the course of the season. Just go into the postseason, be a top 4 seed, go on a run. I could totally see LeBron and the Sixers in the NBA Finals. Do I see them beating the Spurs or the Thunder? No, but quite frankly, I didn't think the Knicks would beat the Spurs. So you never know. And again, I think if the Sixers find a way to win a title, I think that's the way he ends, and he goes out and he rides up into the sunset. And I still don't think it's out of the realm of possibility he's an investor. Again, you're going to get a lot of when I say silent investors, not silent. You're going to get small investors. You need a celebrity investor to the Vegas team. And by the way, can I give Willie Ramirez his flowers? The best name that I've heard for this team is still the Sharks. It's not even close. As soon as he wrote that column for the Sporting Tribune, I said that's the name. Enough with like the Jacks and the whatever. Like it's the Sharks.
Arash, you're the man. Appreciate you carving out time. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, guys.
See you, buddy.
Soon.
There he is, live at Dodger Stadium. Arash Markazi coming back. We'll get to the biggest news around the NFL. There's lots of it.
Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
Oh, I love my job. The drama. Well, we got a lot of NFL stories to get into, and today is normally a day that we do a lot of legal talk with Justin Watkins, but Justin unavailable today. He'll be back next week. So I do want to run some of these stories by Myles Simmons from Pro Football Talk, and then we'll get to a lot of the football stories, including some we were just mentioning with the no salary cap Rams, apparently. Myles Simmons up with us here on this Wednesday. It's Willie. It's Cofield, 5 o'clock hour. Myles, how are you, buddy?
Myles.
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How are you?
We're good. As always, I will start not on the NFL because I like to do that to you. And I did see a tweet from you. We were just talking about the big boss man of the Big Ten, Tony Petitti, the commissioner, basically saying, you don't know what you want, fans. 90% say you don't want the 2014 playoff. I'm going to tell you why. This is why. You don't like the 2014 playoff, do you?
No, I don't, because I think that it totally dilutes everything else. It in some ways, to me, is the same conversation as you can have with Major League Baseball. As now you have all these playoff teams, you have all these wild card teams. So what, you have all of these regular season games, and then boom, this is what we do. I mean, I don't like that the NFL has 7 playoff teams in each conference either at this point. I mean, I think we had the perfect system in the NFL where you had 32 teams, 4 divisions in each conference, 4 teams, and 6 from each of them. So, I think that, yeah, okay, there's more, and that means there's more inventory, and in theory, that means more money. And yes, you will get packed stadiums. That's not really the issue. I think the issue then becomes, all right, well, what is the regular season? Like, how important are these conference games? And we've diluted conferences, right? The Pac-12 does not exist in the form that it used to just a few years ago. And I think that there's a lot wrong with the way that the things are going in college football specifically. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play the video game. And so maybe he is right, but I just think that we as a society do not need a 24-team college football playoff. I don't.
There is nowhere better to go for your NFL fix daily throughout the year, and especially now when it heats up, than Pro Football Talk.
Oh,
Myles Simmons works at PFT, and he's on Peacock. But I will say it's also a great place to go to find the red meat that Mike Florio really enjoys. And I'm not saying that he celebrates the misfortunes of others, but when we start getting into legal issues, Mike is Johnny on the spot, and he's pretty good on this stuff. Let's start out with Tony Romo and what could happen here with this OWI arrest. It's very juicy, and unlike the little Shanny story, which we'll get to, I mean, the video is out, and there's actually pretty good arguments on different sides here. A lot of people think Tony Romo should go bye-bye. They also have it out for him. They don't like him on CBS. What's your take on this?
Well, I think any time that you have as much money as Tony Romo does, there's no excuse for you to be operating a vehicle while intoxicated. I mean, hire a driver, have somebody take you around and do all the driving for you, and you can drink as much as you want. It's great. You know what they call that? Uber, right? These things exist everywhere. So I don't have much sympathy for somebody who does something like this and puts his life and the lives of others in danger. I feel the same way about Tiger Woods. Why is Tiger Woods ever operating a vehicle ever? With as much money as he has, he could have a Maybach in any city he wants to go to and sit in the back of it and do anything he wants to do. And he can still go to wherever he wants to go. So, yeah, I think that there's certainly an argument that CBS should impose some sort of discipline on Romo. I don't know what that would be, what that would look like. That's not, I mean, and I said this, at work today, is that it kind of seems like CBS is maybe lucky that they didn't have a Mark Sanchez incident, on their hands where something really bad happens. And then, oh, wow, we have to deal with this. So, yeah, I think that, look, first, Tony Romo's got to take care of his legal issues, and then we can deal with the CBS stuff. But I do think that, as there is with the NFL, right, we have the personal conduct policy, and players get suspended under that all the time. I think that there is an argument that should also apply to a broadcaster who is as prominent as Tony Romo, and again, makes as much money as Tony Romo and never needs to drive anywhere, especially while intoxicated.
I want your personal take on something else. In the media, is there value to media people covering the media as their beat?
Yes. I mean, I selfishly like it because I like to know what's going on in my business. So I think that there's value for me. I don't know how much value there is for the average person other than, people are interested in people they know and seeing how it is that they have to interact with the world. I think that maybe has some value, but yeah, I think that I'm not going to say the phrase that I want, that I'm thinking of, but it involves a round, a round shape and somebody that's not very nice. That's what I'm thinking of. And that's often what it ends up being, I feel like, when we're talking about media and people reporting on media. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, we've got media people who cover media. Then we've got a whole crew of people who I think it's a good time to develop this brand who are like media watchdogs, which we'll get to the little Shanny story here in a second. My one point on Romo, and I want your reaction on this narrative. There's one guy out of New York, Andrew Marchand, who is a media critic. He tries to do a podcast, but it's stumbling and bumbling and overridden with pauses. He's not good. But then that guy will write, Tony Romo's not good on CBS. And I'm like, you're not good. Now, I guess his comeback would be, I don't get paid $18 million to cover the NFL and do the games. Is Romo bad? It seems to be this developing argument. Like, has he gotten worse? I like watching him. I like listening to him. I think he's good.
I think he was novel when he started, and calling the plays before, like that was kind of cool at first. But I think that he now relies a little too much on vocal crutches, and I don't think he does a very good job of analyzing the game on a down-to-down, play-to-play basis. I don't.
Okay.
But and I mean, one could say that I'm in maybe the same sort of situation as Marchand. Like, also, I never played quarterback, right? So there's so much that I don't know about the game, and I freely admit that.
Right.
But I'm not saying that I would be any good on television next to Jim Nantz on CBS. Like that, I'm not saying that either. But I just think that there are plenty of examples of color commentators that do a much better job on a game-to-game basis. And I watch so many games, and you see all these different broadcasters. So yeah, I don't think Tony Romo is as good as Greg Olson, for instance, Chris Collinsworth, for instance, right? I think even Tom Brady has an argument of being better than Tony Romo at this point. Yeah. Not year one, but Tom Brady in 2025, Tom Brady improved a lot. He did.
I think he's getting better.
He is. And, his enthusiasm for the game is so cool and so fun. And so, yes, when he's with Kevin Burkhardt and he's just screaming, it feels like you're watching the game with somebody who loves football, and then it can explain so many different aspects of the game as well. And I don't think Romo does as good of a job of that as some other folks do.
Let's start with football first on Kyle Shanahan. Should I fade the Niners at the beginning of the season, thinking that Shanahan's not going to be around and real effective for a while here as he recovers from a concussion? And I don't know, maybe some legal issues. I don't know what happened here, but let's concentrate on football first. Is there a worry?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that there's so much continuity in that building at this point. I mean, if anything, maybe you should be a little bit concerned about their defense. Like, Raheem Morris is going to come in there and he's going to do some things a little bit differently than Robert Saleh. And they've had some pretty good continuity with kind of what their system has been for the last however many years under Shanahan. And so there are going to be some changes there. But I think that system, I'm not going to say it runs itself because it doesn't, but I think the way Shanahan understands offenses and the way he's kind of passed some of that down to Brock Purdy by this point, I think that they're going to be okay. I mean, if you are concerned about the 49ers offense, it should be because you don't know what their receiving core is going to really look like. I mean, Brandon Ayuk obviously not there anymore, and he has reached Antonio Brown levels of off the deep end. Now this stuff about Ricky Pearsall and his knee and the inflammation there and how it's damage from the I should say damage. There's residual effects, I should say, of left over from what was going on with him last year. And then look, Mike Evans, as good as Mike Evans is and has been, I mean, he's getting to the point in his career where he suffered more and more injuries, and so. That I think is more the concern, and then George Kittle coming off the season-ending injury as well. We don't know if he is going to necessarily be back for Week 1. So yeah, I think all of those things are more the concern than Shanahan's presence or lack thereof at this point in training camp.
Myles Simmons, Pro Football Talk, is with us. All right, you're a media guy. You cover the NFL. I'll just throw it out to you. 3-4 days into this Kyle Shanahan accident story, what do you think?
Well, I think it's interesting that it was kind of declared a no-fault accident by the police, and that was the official report. And then Kyle Shanahan comes out and he says, well, no, it was my fault because I swerved into another lane because I had my cell phone on my lap, and then the cell phone fell off my lap, and I was trying to retrieve it. And I'm like, man, like, Doug, what are you doing? Like, why are you texting and driving? Again, this is another person that does not need to be driving, generally. If you are that concerned about what else is going on in the world, that you can't put your phone away for the amount of time it takes you to go from point A to point B, You shouldn't be driving and just hire a driver. So that I think is interesting. I saw this comparison on Twitter or whatever about Shanahan and Mike Vrabel, and somebody goes like, "Oh, well, this is Shanahan taking accountability, and Mike Vrabel didn't do that." And it's like, well, like, Shanahan's issue I think is a lot different. Like Mike Vrabel's failing is moral. There are legal implications and bodily harm implications for what Kyle Shanahan did. And fortunately, I mean, I should know how much fortunate it is or not. It wasn't really life-threatening. Fortunately, it wasn't life-threatening injuries, and it was only to Shanahan, right? Nothing happened to the other driver. But I just think that when we're in those kinds of situations, like, don't make false comparisons or like silly, loose comparisons and think, oh, well, one guy's taking accountability and the other guy isn't. I think there's a lot more layers to it than that.
Okay, for both of you guys, first Myles, then Willie, because Willie's on the beat for several teams. There are media outsiders who have now developed this brand of, hey, this is the way things are supposed to be covered. Why isn't it being covered this way? Tim Kawakami is getting slaughtered. He defended why he covered it the way he did. How are we supposed to cover these stories? Should we, and many newspapers do this, be perusing the accident blotter, the crime blotter? Should we have more suspicion when a story comes down and not believe the first account? And if Adam Schefter, or I hate to throw you in the mix here on this one, but if Chris Sims knows about it, other people around in the media know about a story, should we hold back?
Well, I do think that the argument of, hey, all you guys traded favors on this and you didn't know, and when your co-host is like best friends with Shanahan and knew about it and didn't tell you, like, what are we arguing here? And so like that, yeah. But I think that sometimes we can go through these things on a case-by-case basis. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world that nobody reported on Kyle Shanahan's accident. I don't, especially because, like, no one else was harmed at the beginning of this. Like, there's no criminal charges. And I think that's what makes it a little bit different. I mean, obviously, it's not good when anybody has, injuries, life-threatening or not. But I do think that we can have a little more nuance sometimes and take things on a case-by-case basis. And I wasn't offended in any way, like some people, by the way that this all unfolded. What did you think, Willie?
I think that there would be a time where I would say if this happened 2 months ago, then it's only headlines because of who he is, but at that point, there's no reason to cover it any further, because if you're going to cover it, then you better go cover every other accident that took place for the exact same reason. The only reason that this is an issue now is because, is it affecting the team during training camp? Is it taking something away from a team in which fans are going to be investing in, season ticket holders, so on and so forth? So if it's the problem is the NFL never sleeps. So a couple of months ago, it was the draft. He needs to be there. It's OTAs. It's this. So every month, the team is doing something. So it's off season, but he's got a job to do. I think it's a story that needs to be told, and I don't necessarily, again, I agree with you, Myles, in that there weren't other people involved. It's not it's a cell phone issue, which it happens every single day. It's not a drunken driving incident. Nobody was harmed.
Hold on a second. Wait, we don't know what the situation was.
As of right now, this is the
if he was impaired. But that's the whole point about covering it. To me, this may be a news side story over a sports story. This can become a story of, hey, is someone who is privileged getting special treatment by law enforcement? I mean, for the accident report to say it mistakenly put the blame on her? What? What is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that could be insurance fraud. That could be, avoiding a lawsuit.
What I was going to finish in saying is, if there wasn't a coach and this was a player, would the NFL all of a sudden be stepping in saying, this is not a code of conduct? This is this. Would he be punished by? Would there be a demand of suspension of the first 2 weeks? So it goes even beyond that, just not in terms of who he is. So because of where we are in the season, that's where you have to step in and say and get the details. If it were a couple of months ago and it's kind of downtime and it gets brushed under, but it pops up on the police report because of who it is, and you dig in, you see a little bit further, and if it's just a case of, then you better go cover every other person that of the same thing. But if he was impaired, if there's this, then you better treat him the same. The NFL better look in and treat him the same way they would a player.
Right, and my thing is, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be an investigation. My thought is more on how was the news released, because that was the initial issue that person who I work with, took up. Like, hey, why was this handled the way this was handled? And so, I mean, like, then we're implicated in it because of the people that we also work with. So that's where I'm saying, like, my issue is not with that. I think that if there was an impairment, and if I'm not saying people shouldn't dig into it. I don't think that either. I think that if you have to look into these things, and take them on a case by case basis. Right?
Well,
like
as far as where,
I don't think it's so bad.
As far as how it was released, I don't know how it is out there, but in Vegas, you can look up traffic violations. It's public record, so you could punch in their full government name. Like the morning that it went down, I was called by a television reporter the morning it went down with Henry Ruggs, and we were looking up the wrong first name because is it Hank? So we were looking up Henry, and it had been there the whole time, and I was trying to confirm it. I had gotten a call like at 6:45 in the morning from a fellow reporter saying, hey, I heard this. Did you hear this? And I went right to the Justice Court database because you could look it up. So it's public record. Right. So as far as it being leaked, it's public record. So you can dig in right now and find out what's on the police report.
Yes. And
what's on the report. Now, if anything was left off or omitted, sorry to cut you off, that's a whole other story. But my point is, it's public record.
Yes, exactly. And so, but my thought more is, okay, if agreeing with Steve, like, is there something else to this? Right, like that, I think maybe needs to be investigated given what we know. And they say it's a clerical error that initially the other driver was blamed, but is that true? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little, to move on from this, I'm a little disturbed by the coverage with Kyle Shanahan presumed innocent, Tony Romo presumed guilty. And that's the way these stories have been covered so far. Myles Simmons, Pro Football Talk, is with us. All right, some on-the-field stuff to get to. And I do want to close out with the Chiefs and Eric Bieniemy in about 5 minutes. But is this true with Baker Mayfield that he's pretty much said, you know what, let's not have any more contract talks. I'm going to do this year, and then we'll see what happens after that. Pretty bold move if that's the case.
I also think it's a bold move. I don't necessarily think it's the right move. I mean, I think Baker Mayfield sometimes Baker Mayfield is such a quarterback who's great one year, not so great, pretty good, and he's been too up and down. And I think that in a real world perspective, like, he is the kind of quarterback that, should be middle tier, right? Like, not the quarterbacks who are making upwards of 55 to 60 million. I don't think Baker Mayfield is worth that. I'm sorry, a year, right? But the other problem with this is the market is the market. And when you have somebody like a Daniel Jones, who is going to make $50 million this year for his play with the Colts, even though he's coming off the Achilles, even though he's never been a consistent enough quarterback, that is where Baker Mayfield's argument is, that guy's getting that, why am I not getting that? And I get it. So the play to bet on yourself is interesting. I mean, I don't know how well this is going to go. I don't know if the Buccaneers are going to necessarily want him back, because think about one of the last times he really had that make or break year. It was 2021 with Cleveland Browns, and he was injured, yes. But if you don't then sit out because you're injured, then you're going to be liable for everything you do when you are still hurt. And his play in 21 was not good. And so then, the Browns do what they do, but they were going to move on from him because they didn't want to pay him. So that's why they were forced to do something. And then Baker Mayfield goes to the Panthers, stinks up the room. He goes to the Rams, revives his career, then goes to the Bucs, and then he's been decent ever since. I mean, he's had one really good year. He's been decent, I think, the other years. So I'm interested in seeing where this goes because I can see this ending with Baker Mayfield elsewhere next year, certainly.
On the prediction front, I predicted a while back that I think the Patriots will fall back to the pack with a more difficult schedule. The schedule was easy. We saw the Chiefs last year kind of fall apart and just didn't win close games. The 2 years before that, they won most of the close games. The Broncos are an example of a team that, man, they were unbelievable with the cardiac kid front. They trailed in 15 games last season. Before last year, no team had ever trailed in 15 games and still gone on to win 14 games during the season. Their win total's 9.5. Am I fading the Broncos this year?
Yes. And, I mean, I think that, look, Bo Nix is one of those guys, and maybe, I think he should improve, certainly going into this year, right? But he's one of those guys that you watched him last year, and you're like, man, he is terrible for 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, it's like, well, where did this come from? Why did this not happen the first 3 quarters? What have you been doing? So I don't know that you can continue to live like that, right? I mean, you just cited the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs couldn't live like that last year. And so unless he has taken a significant step forward, I don't really think that the Broncos are going to be like AFC championship caliber again. I think last year was kind of an aberration. And this year, despite 2 of these 3 teams having new head coaches, we're going to see the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens close to the top of the AFC again.
Before Patrick Mahomes got injured, they were already bad with him. What's going to be different this year?
Well, I think, Eric Bieniemy is back, and, this is one where, hell, I don't know what this is going to turn into given the situation with his wife and his son, and, that's one of the things that I thought was certainly going to make them better. I think having Kenneth Walker in their backfield will make them better. I think Patrick Mahomes, as motivated as he's going to be, going to make them better. And defensively, it's going to be interesting because you don't have Trent McDuffie anymore. You no longer also have Jalen Watson on the other side. And so that's 2 significant pieces to your secondary that you have to replace. And they did one with Delaney. They brought back L'Jarius Sneed as well. And so we'll see if he stays healthy. But yeah, I think that the Chiefs should be better just because, and maybe I'm just, reverting back to what my mind knows and thinking, hey, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is that dude. And, I think that if anybody is going to go on a revenge towards him. So, yeah, I guess it's less real tangible analysis and more like feelings.
Go to Pro Football Talk. Pro Football Talk, you can check it out at on Twitter as well. Latest headlines, Max Crosby. I have a little more reason to go out there and whoop ass. Also news on Quentin Williams saying he wants to be in Dallas for the long haul. And the latest story is Taysom Hill bidding farewell in New Orleans. Myles, great job as always. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, take care, guys.
There he is, Myles Simmons. Not always easy to talk the NFL with some of these stories. It's pretty crazy what's going on right now.
It is easy to talk with Myles, though.
Yes.
Very, very diverse. He gets it done.
Will it make the prediction on both? Will it get worse for Romo in the next couple of days?
Yes.
Will it get worse for Kyle Shanahan? I'm not talking about his health and his concussion and injuries. Will it get worse for Shanahan in the next couple of days?
Yes.
I agree.
But here's how. It'll get worse for Romo legally. It'll get worse for Shanny publicly. Because no matter what the situation, how it comes out, the whole clerical error thing and a little bit of perception is reality, he's going to have to take the brunt of the perception of this in our day and age of social media.
We've got tickets to go see AC/DC Allegiant Stadium coming up in September. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Caller 7-364-1100 to see the legendary AC/DC here in Las Vegas. Caller 7-364-1100. Camps opened up today, UNLV football, and with the Raiders, with veterans reporting, we'll have more of the highlights and the sound from the camps with Dan Mullen and Max Crosby and more Kirk Cousins as well.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
I think one of the biggest things at Raiders camp, because we're back here at Cofield and Company, Willie Ramirez, Cofield, James. One of the biggest questions that needs to be answered, I don't know that we're going to get an immediate answer, but if he's out there and he's going 100%, is Max Crosby healthy? Can he get all the way back and be ready for the beginning of the season? Speaking to the media today, he mentioned that he does not have any limitations.
There's a couple plays I wanted back. I felt just more mentally, I haven't gone full speed since last year, 2025 in December. So there's a couple plays I felt like I hesitated slightly, but physically, I feel like I had no thought in my mind. I was flying around and moving, and it's all the work, that's been put in. And there's so many people I could thank for that, but just taking it one day at a time, and it was fun to just be back out there with the guys.
I give these guys a lot of credit, and the mental part of the game is as big as the physical. When you're all the way back, you still have to test it. You still have to go out there and see how it feels.
Max is a guy who was willing to put it all on the field while he was hurt and still injured with what he needed to clean up. Getting your knees cleaned up, it wasn't major. You get cut or you get scoped, it's major enough. But this is a guy who has Muhammad Ali and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan tatted on his freaking stomach. You don't think that this guy thinks with a Mamba mentality or the greatest or the GOAT mentality? This is a guy who puts his body on the line, and I said it earlier in the show, this is a guy who first in the building, last to leave. Max Crosby is going to do everything he can to make sure that he is in top-notch form, and if he's not 100%, he's still going to give 150% effort.
I think these quarterback situations around the league are fascinating with Mahomes and Daniel Jones. Because those were serious injuries. A knee and an Achilles.
Yeah.
And people don't give enough credit to the guy. They should. Mahomes is athletic. He's got a dad bod, but his speed is deceptive, and he does that ridiculous thing where he runs to the sideline and then tiptoes it a couple extra steps and then puts the ball out, and no one's ever broken his arm. I wonder what both of those guys, because they're both cleared. I still can't believe they're going to be back and even 90% for the opener. But I guess we'll see. These are a little longer cuts. Here's Max Crosby just talking about, as Willie said, just max effort going 1,000% in practice.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people have come up to me already and just been like, all right, so, in practice you can't do this. If you get, I have a whole, textbook full of rules that I got to follow or I'm going to get in trouble. But that's, it comes with it. I practice one way, and I know that, and I know I push the line, and sometimes I go over the line. But ultimately it's because, I want to be the greatest at what I do, and I want to push my teammates to be the greatest version of themselves. So, when you get out there and bullets are flying, I'm not thinking about not going or not finishing the play, or That's just not in my nature. So that's something I've been dealing with my whole career. It's not easy. But Clint grabbed me the first day, and Robbie, and I feel like every single human is like, hey, you got a second? Let me tomorrow. If you in this situation, I'm like, I get it. But yeah, it's been with every coach. That's something that that's literally all the way back to college days with Coach Creighton. He used to, have to kick me out of practice all the time. But it's growth. You focus on getting better and trying to be the best version of yourself. That's all I can do.
The other thing that you have to remember when it comes to Max Crosby, he's not only going to give 150%, whether he's at 80, 90, or 100% physically, he also, whether he has to or not, carries the burden of wanting to make sure he sets an example, which is important for a leader. And right now, all due respect to Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, Kubiak, whoever, he's the face of this franchise. There are three faces for professional sports in this town: A'ja Wilson, Jack Eichel, and Max Crosby. There are three pro sports teams in Las Vegas. So Max Crosby wears the badge of honor of being the face of that franchise and setting the tone for this team. So would his teammates understand, hey, my knee's a little sore? Yes, and it goes without saying for a guy who goes balls out. But at the same token, Max Crosby is not an excuse maker. So there's also that to understand and sort of embrace, is that he endorses that, and he wants to live by those standards, and because he expects, he may not expect the exact greatness out of his teammates, but what he does expect is them to match the effort.
28 years old, 29 in less than a month. So recovery for these guys and their premium athletes is different than mere mortals. Here's Max talking about being stronger after the injury.
No, it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing. I feel great. You know what I mean? There's a lot of, the physical part is the physical part. You're going to have to go through the grueling rehab. I mean, first 2 months of off season, I literally can't bend my knee and I'm in a cast. You can hardly sleep. I literally couldn't sleep for about a month and a half or so. Because you can't move your leg, you can't walk, can't put any pressure on it. And I'm so used to being so self-efficient and self-reliant on stuff, and I gotta ask everyone around me and I feel like an irritant. You know what I mean? That part of it's that nobody really gets to see is Rachel's, doing double, triple time, taking care of the baby, and she's also taking care of me. I'm like a big ass baby. I'm stuck on a damn couch. I can't do anything, and you know what I mean? It's those are the things that people don't really get to see. And the emotional, the mental part of it, and it forces you to make a choice of how you're going to attack the whole process. So it's been over 7 months now, and we're out here, and the goal was the goal, and we're out here flying, and I feel incredible. And it's not just me, you know what I mean? It's obviously I'm the one that's got to do all the work, but ultimately there's so many good people in my corner that helped me along the process this offseason, and I can go on and on about those guys, but I didn't do it alone. And obviously Rach being the mother of the year and wife of the year, taking care of me and helping me during the whole thing was incredible. So it's a blessing, man. I love this game, and I heard all the noise and all those things, but everyone knows my back's against the wall. That's when I'm at my best. I love the pressure. That's what I live and thrive on. So it just added points and gives me a little bit more reason to go out there and whoop ass.
I like when athletes open up about the ups and downs of the injury recovery, because for most fans and even media people, it's out of sight, out of mind. We have no idea. Well, some of us do, what they're going through. Willie was making a bunch of faces. Willie, you had a serious thigh injury, you had surgery. I know you trained Kahlua to drag you around in a cart for a while. Yeah. I made that up. But you can definitely connect with this. The recovery period and the initial part of surgery sucks. It's
the one word he didn't use, but I know where he's going, was humbling, because when he said I couldn't sleep, I can't tell you how many times I knocked my other leg with that brace, because you can't take it off, because you can subconsciously bend it and snap, damaging what the surgeon did to fix. So for what I went through, I understand what he's saying. We may not. We don't know the specifics, but I know what I went through, and I'm not a $1 million athlete. I'm a hack journalist, that drug his leg in here at some point. It was like, Steve, I need to come back to normalcy, get me back in the studio. And that was a real pain. And I just got cleared a week and a half ago to remove that brace. Asia and Becky today at practice were like, no more brace. So I get it. I understand it. His benefit is that he's got world-class trainers. He could go to the facility. He could do PT, and they could really push him. Thank God I have a great physical therapist, but I can only imagine what he had to go through to get into the kind of shape he needs to be in to be an NFL star.
We'll hear more of from Max tomorrow. Adam Hill's going to be in. We'll hear more from Kirk Cousins and Raiders folks who are speaking tomorrow. But up next, let's put a wrap today on UNLV football camp. If you missed the beginning of the show, we talked about UNLV at 3 and 3:30, but there was a lot that Dan Mullen said that we need to get into, including this has been a recurring theme with UNLV football. When you come here as a newcomer, whether it's transfer portal or as a true freshman, if you do the right things, you actually have a chance to play. And Mullen talked about some of his youngest players today.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on. Grab bag time. Let's cover a little more of the UNLV football practice day number one. We'll get to a little reaction here from Dan Mullen on the quarterback situation. It's not a situation. Jackson Arnold is going to be the starter, and Alex Orji will challenge him. But the biggest thing with Orji is making sure he's healthy for the regular season and can be part of packages and serve as the backup if need be. Now, one of the things that has developed over the years, college football has changed a lot. And I think there is a sweet spot now for programs like UNLV to go and get recruits that may be a little better than they used to get because Power 4 schools want to be old and stay old, so they take so many transfers that they generally aren't taking like 28 freshman recruit, right? Because they can't play them, they can't retain them. So I think some guys slip through the cracks. And going back to Odom and now with Mullen, both staffs have said the same thing. Hey, we tell guys, if you're good enough to play, the class label does not matter. You are going to play. So listen to Mullen here as he's answering questions about young guys, how they look, because they have a good freshman class, and they've got some really good redshirt freshmen, some good sophomores as well, as he answers about the young guys, and you'll hear me jump in about specifics with 3 freshmen.
A lot of them got here early to go learn what's going on. But, the biggest thing that gets lost in a lot in this instant gratification world that we live in now is the development. You don't become a great football player overnight. You don't like go from high school to college and just be a superstar day one. There's a development that goes on, and I think the one great thing our guys do, and we preach all the time, is the development part. Worry about your rep and getting better. Right? A lot of people concerned who's starting. I care. No one's competing for a starting job here. Everyone's competing for reps. The more guys that we have that can get reps, the deeper we are, the better team will be. That's kind of the build and the message. And that just gets guys back to the focus on their development. And are they getting better every single day?
So freshmen like Karner or Purcell or Zachary, what do they have to do to earn reps? What do they have to show you during this month?
Just show that they know what the heck they're doing. 2, be able to make plays within the system and earn the trust of the coaches. And, and be ready to play. And, those are guys that, because of maybe depth at certain positions, they're going to get an opportunity to go show if they can do it and earn reps, maybe more so than, a freshman quarterback right now. And, at this point, there's 2 older guys. It's going to be harder for, they got to prepare. You never know what's going to happen in the course of a season. But those reps are there for the taking, and there's opportunities to go get it.
In the case of Purcell, how do you feel now about Cohen Fuller's eligibility in his case?
We'll be here for a long time. I got to go watch the film if we get into NCAA discussions. You know what? It was great. He got in here early. He worked. It's not too. He's taken some steps. Those guys up front, and I think, you look at some of the guys, a Mo Al-Tayeb that was here last year, and a Moa Basher that was here last year, that weren't ready to play. But those guys have taken huge steps. You know what I mean? Poe getting in early really has helped him to get that way where hopefully, to me, I want to have a deep rotation on the defensive front.
It's going to be key. And I mentioned 3 freshmen. Now, Karner is just in, I believe, now. I don't think he was here for the spring. He's a kid out of California, Newbury Park, I think. 6'3". Not saying he's going to get playing time because the receiving core is very deep. But he was out there making plays today with the 2s. He was a good deep target, so he was getting some looks. Zachary, I was referencing Peyton Zachary, who is basically De Jesus reincarnate, potentially. Slot guy, 5'6". You can tell they like him. They're trying to get him the ball, right? Can be a troublemaker, an instigator. Poe Purcell's the guy, though, that is really worth following here. He is 6'3", he's 325, he's a defensive tackle. UNLV historically does not get guys like this. And he was a little under the radar because some injuries in high school. And when I saw him rolling with the 1s and 2s in the spring, I'm like, okay. Now sometimes, as I mentioned 2 hours ago, don't overreact to what you see one day because it could be a look. They want to get him some exposure. But this is now the spring and the beginning of the fall, and Mullen addressed it there with Poe Purcell, and I followed up with Cohen Fuller could be the starter at defensive tackle, but he also could not be eligible. He's got a case right now. He's challenging, so if he's not, I think Poe Purcell has a chance to play, and it's going to be really intriguing because to have a true freshman out there at defensive tackle with all the responsibility you have from a strength and mental standpoint, that's a lot. But it'd be great if talk about pitching to local recruits, Willie. Like, hey, this kid's getting playing time his freshman year. Well, you.
And Mullen stands by what he says in that the best guy's going to play. You know what I mean? he invites the competition. He, there are certain givens, if you will, that who's going to start. Quarterback position, he's going to stand 10 toes down. But at the same token, if you're going to come in and take a position, and if you're a true freshman and you show, but the thing is, once he puts his trust in you, then you better go out there and step it up in the real world. So if you earn that starting role from now till opening night, then it's time to prove that he made the right decision in you. And I think he's the type of guy that, and Odom was too, with that SEC mentality that if he instills the confidence in you, it immediately becomes infectious, and that person, that player, is going to step up to his best ability.
In recent times, true freshmen who got to play, Austin Boyd, who has now become a stalwart on the line as a starting center, and Jet Thomas got looks his freshman year. And you started hearing about Jet in camp in the fall because he had busted off a couple of big runs that we weren't at those scrimmages, and people were like, oh, okay. So they do have a history of getting some guys out there. It's really hard to play as a freshman in college football at this level. There's a lot that has to be understood. Now, the quarterback situation, listen to Mullen here talk about what he's looking for out of the quarterbacks because even though Arnold is new to the program, he's experienced. So Mullen's excited that, hey, this isn't a startup deal here. These guys have some experience.
You really want your quarterback. I mean, they don't need to think. They need to react, know everything on the field, and then they're kind of playing with the defense. As our guys, when you're still learning, you're not able to play, play that game against the defense where I'm trying to move guys where I want to move them, get them to jump off sides, get them to do everything I want them to do when you're still processing learning. But I think now there's a lot more comfort in what we're doing. So hopefully we continue to build through this week, so we get through the end of this install. There's, our guys, the quarterbacks, are confident in everything that they're doing. So those last couple weeks of training camp, they're really taking a graduate level step.
And Jackson Arnold and Alex Orji look pretty good throwing the ball around today. I want to get one more bite in because first game here is in 30 days. August 29th.
Crazy.
Whatever, 31 days. August 29th. Memphis is in town. I'm going to hold off. Save this for tomorrow. They're getting hyped for Memphis because they know how much this game means. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give everyone a little homework assignment. If you don't know the name Marcus Stokes, Memphis is no joke. Now, I don't know if this kid will be up to speed. They have a new coaching staff, but he's likely the quarterback for Memphis. And if he assimilates well, they could be running and gunning. This is a guy who actually was slated to go to Florida. Back 2 years ago, he was a number 14 prospect in the country overall at quarterback, number 11 dual-threat quarterback. Went to West Florida and blew up. And now he's at Memphis, so this is going to be a good game, this opening game. A lot more from Dan Mullen, a lot more from all the Raiders. Camps are here. Willie, good job today. Thank you, James. What do you got going on social media? You do anything tonight on TikTok? I saw your great picks video at Ball's Life.
Yeah, they have me doing a lot more video work. I am reactivating my account. I took it down just to recalibrate, so I will be doing a live tonight.